It is stated in the Dharmaśāstras that in this material world, a person performs 4 puruṣārthas. They are known as dharma, artha, kāmaḥ, and mokṣa. This is a natural progression in one's life by performing these 4 activities of religiosity, economic development, fulfilling one's desire, and striving for liberation. All human activities are rooted in desire. As a matter of fact, as conditioned living entities who are covered by material body and who are tied by the modes of material nature, we have no power to act. The only one thing that we are able to do is to desire. Desire to attain pleasure and desire to avoid pain. In the conditioned state, our desires are products of the influence of the 3 gunas of material nature manifesting in the human psyche. Human desire can be divided into 3 categories. The desire for sense pleasure. Despite our first-hand experience that this is never fulfilling, nevertheless, it drives us to pursue the same sensual experience again and again. The desire for material acquisition, wealth, honor, power, security, and so on, which is considered progressive because it does not mandate meaningless repetition, but rather the drive to realize consistently greater goals. The desire for virtue, good character, righteousness, which is more progressive than the previous and brings a sense of serenity and clear insight as to the nature of the world. The virtuous is the only one capable of understanding the fact that a life based on a perceived need to become something obscures the perception of that we are already someone. This alone gives the virtuous life absolute value and superiority over aspiring for power and pleasure. The truly righteous ego is a potential bridge to transcend the false ego. Crossing that bridge with the energy of spiritual practice leads to mokṣa, freedom from necessity, where we understand who we are in reality. We find that we have no need to become something because we already are something far greater than anything the limited human experience can afford. If we don't approach our activities from a religious platform, then the subsequent result will not bear the desired fruit. Although in today's day and age, people have no knowledge about this principle, and still we see that for so many, the economic development is automatically presented as if it didn't originate from a higher source and higher endeavor of Dharma. Dharma in this context really means religion or virtue, righteousness. As this word was created by and rests on the eternal rules of Krishna, so too the laws which govern the progression on this path. Therefore, the law of religion dictates that one must perform sacrifices to please Vishnu in order to receive rain in return. Rain produces grains, which form the basis of human necessities. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Another aspect of religiosity is the need of cow protection. Without cow protection, we won't have milk, another basic, invaluable ingredient for human progression. We know that a glass of warm milk before bed helps develop our finer brain tissues. This is necessary in order to understand higher principles of existence. And another important element of religiosity is the respect of the Brahmanas. Without their guidance, how would we know what is right and what is wrong. So how is it possible to see so much economic progression and development, and yet we know that no one really follows these mentioned principles? Well, the truth is that it is considered progression and development only in our contaminated and distorted view of reality. Real economic development must be a holistic approach and not limited to temporary selfish results, disregarding our future well-being, our environment, and ultimately God. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Here is the formula for linking the Dharma to artha. If you want economical development, you must understand where things come from. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, if we want to advance, we must somehow include Him in our lives. Whatever your individual situation, please remember this one simple fact. Everything belongs to Krishna. If you want something, you ask Him. If you have something and you want to use it, you thank Him for it. And if you have something and you don't want it, again, you ask Krishna to take it away. Our way to do this is by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On whatever level you are, somehow or other include Krishna in your life and things will progress nicely. Artha means economic development, although here we refer to traditional values expressed in economic terms such as wealth and material acquisition. We also include here honor, power, and security. If somehow you have acquired these so-called benefits, it is to be known that it is only due to the pious activities performed either in this or in previous lives. There is simply no other mechanical way to achieve these but through performance of religious activities. Also, if one is fortunate enough to have wealth or facilities, one should understand that all this has only value because Krishna is present in them, in his various potencies. If we stay blind to this fact, we will never connect our wealth to Krishna, and therefore we will never be able to transcend this bondage. We should avoid the acquiring of wealth for the sake of a false prestige and reputation. The purpose of economical development is to be able to serve Krishna with all that we have acquired while in somewhat better condition. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. In these words, Krishna presents the right mood and attitude for action in order to gain the ultimate result. Therefore, engage in your daily activities, worshipping Krishna and performing your religious duties, and whatever comes as a result of these, use it in Krishna's service. This way, you are guaranteed to be freed from envy. Even if the result of your endeavors results in prosperity or honor or power and position, by using these in Krishna's service, you will not be entangled. Kāmaḥ refers to sense enjoyment. Now, this is really just a natural byproduct of economic development. Unfortunately, the modern uneducated society turned this process upside down and made the kāmaḥ its primary goal. Due to the greed, lust and envy, they view everything in relation to kāmaḥ, and they value everything according to the level of sense enjoyment they can derive from something. If I can enjoy something little, it is not as good as if I could enjoy it better. Meaning, 2 scoops of ice cream is always better than 1. But in reality, if I worship Krishna, He will provide what is necessary. And since I got something, the natural derivative is that I will enjoy while engaging with it, whatever it may be. This is just a natural sequence, and we shouldn't put too much emphasis on the enjoying part. Losing the grip on this simple principle made us all mad and brainwashed. If we go deeper into the mechanics of the sense enjoyment, we will see that even on the most rudimentary level, it is Krishna who is actually enjoying and not us. Within this world, whatever is perceived by the mind, speech, eyes, or other senses is me alone and nothing beside me. All of you, please understand this by a straightforward analysis of the facts. Whatever in this world we enjoy is in reality the meeting of our senses and sense objects, either of which is not us, both of which is Krishna. Therefore, the proper understanding and attitude to the sense enjoyment is that by our desire, we really just assist in Krishna's pastime of connecting the senses to the sense objects. If you struggle to wrap your head around this, here's another simple formula to keep you always in check. The desire to gratify one's own senses is calm, lust, but the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prem, love. So as devotees, we don't really worry too much about this. Whatever comes, we make sure we engage it in Krishna's service. If it leaves us with a feeling of joy, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Human society must follow a process of religion to advance, and on the basis of the religion, one should try to develop his economic condition so that he can fulfill his need for sense gratification according to religious rules and regulations. Then, liberation from material bondage will be easier to obtain. This is the Vedic process. When one is above the stages of dharma, artha, kāmaḥ and mokṣa, one becomes a devotee. Matter provides only a distorted or false sense of pleasure, power and virtue. In connection with matter, one can only experience a temporary sense of sense enjoyment, existence and material knowledge. The pleasure, power and virtue inherent in the unit of consciousness, jiva, are far greater than that which one can experience in relation to matter. However, the inherent joy, security and wisdom in the jiva are minute in comparison to that of gods. We know that Krishna is the origin of security, wisdom and pleasure, and we say he is the reservoir of those three. In Krishna they are manifest in infinite amount as Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini. Thus, the security, wisdom and joy that the jiva who awakens to the loving relationship with God can experience are far greater than that which he or she can experience independent of such relationship. When a liberated soul experiences liberated life in relation to God, it realizes its eternal form, eternal service, and its eternal original relationship with Krishna. This liberated life in relation to God is the ideal of Shuddha Bhakti, which we as sadhakas are cultivating in our sadhana of Nam Sankirtan. Before it manifests, one first becomes virtuous. Virtuous life is followed by the initial phase of liberation from the influence of karma, and at the stage of ruchi, one begins to taste the ideal life of pure devotion in love of God. This taste appears in the form of attachment to hearing and chanting Krishna's name with even greater enthusiasm. Nothing is unattainable for devotees who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, the original source of everything. The Lord is the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities. For devotees, therefore, who are transcendental to the modes of material nature, what is the use of following the principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification and liberation, which are all automatically obtainable under the influence of the modes of nature? We devotees always glorify the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore we need not to ask for anything in terms of dharma, kāmaḥ, artha, and mokṣa. Devotees are not desirous of any material happiness, including the happiness derived from liberation. This is called aññāvilasita shunyam. Karmis desire material happiness, and jnanis desire liberation. But a devotee doesn't desire anything. He is simply satisfied by rendering transcendental loving service to the lotus feet of the Lord. I would like to close this video by quoting a verse from Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. The desire for the pleasure received from relationship with family and friends, for the four goals of life, namely dharma, artha, kāmaḥ, and mokṣa, and for vast wealth, etc., are the causes of all unwanted desires. Knowing this, I abandon them all. I worship the food dust of Sri Radha, which showers natural, wonderful happiness, and I always keep this food dust upon my head. Isn't this wonderful? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.